Okay. Hey, Sam, the chat isn't showing up there.
If you go into the bottom part there, you should see the chat, but you're good whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow. Aren't we the fortunate ones? Look at all of this time that we've spent from the beginning of February all the way now. It is our last part of a 4-part series, changing the narrative of human nutrition. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm Dr. Farid Zarif. I'll be your host, and you can get more information about a most wonderful organization that allows and that invites me and give me the privilege to talk to you on aaecfinc.org. That's aaecfinc.org. So you can get more information there. We have great news. I'll let you go on and read about that, but I want to say congratulations to those students that have just received the aviation awards just a few days ago. So find out more about that. Really, really a wonderful program. We want to bring to you the kind of information that will help you to be healthier, that will help you to make better decisions, that will help you to make informed decisions. Okay, so it's very, very, very good. As you see, I'm pumped up. You pumped up? All right. Well, we're going to be talking about today the things that we should and could change to make it easier, to make it better, to make it healthier for us to eat a certain way that will give us a certain result. Now, that certain way is to eat those foods that are in harmony with that time of the day, those foods that are harmonized with that time of the evening, the afternoon, and the morning. So we're going to talk about those things, and I'm excited because I think you're going to get something from this that you can keep with you for the rest of your life. So why don't we take a little time and share? So if you're looking at us from let's say Facebook or Instagram, any of those, make sure that you share so we can get people coming in. If you like to have you had any questions while I'm talking, you can simply just send it in the chat, and I will definitely get your message, and we'll start to, formulate a resolution. So everybody, it is wonderful, wonderful to be here with you. You know, a celebration of life is just a wonderful way to appreciate everything. Everything. Yeah, you say everything? Yes, everything. Everything that is happening to you is happening for you. The very first thing that I want to talk about today, and that we're going to talk about, is that starting with yourself. Starting with yourself, the most important person in the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few things so we can make sense out of why are we so involved when it comes to eating a certain way? Doesn't that seem like that's somebody else's responsibility? Why is it that we have professional people in health and healthcare professionals, or those people in gastroenterology, those people in any genre, whether it's Ayurvedic medicine, it can be Chinese herbology, it can be American herbology, it can be homeopathic, naturopathic, allopathic, all these different types of approaches. Now, isn't it really interesting that the entire world doesn't use the same approach, but there are 7.5 billion people on the world that are taken care of. Yeah. So some of the parts of the world, we have people that will approach things with just natural plants and a combination of those plants in order to keep people strong, in order to keep people healthy. And many of them live long lives. They become centenarians, and that is just so wonderful to live over 100 years. So yes, many of us are living longer, but we're living longer, sicker. We get the number, yeah, I made it over 80, I made it over 90, but guess what? Grandma and grandpa can be very, very sick in the meanwhile. So sometimes, and most of the times, just because you're existing, just because you are alive, doesn't mean that you're living. So we want to get this done early in life. When you're in your 20s and earlier, we want to take people that are past their 20 years and up. And these years, I think I just said 20 years. I haven't used that word before, but those people that are in their 20s, use this time to learn everything that you can. So as you're bringing up your family and producing this wonderful contribution to the rest of us here on earth, we want to be sure that those children are around for a very long time and that they're healthy in the meanwhile. Now, not to negate you, because you're super important too. The things that you are eating can be very deleterious, and that is not what we're after, right? We can do things that will be not so smart if we do what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is eating out of reactionary behavior. That means that they don't have to think before they do anything. All they do is just simply, I'm hungry, eat. I'm thirsty, eat. I'm real hungry, eat more. And we've been doing that for years. So let's see if we can make some sense out of that. I am going to share screen with you, so get ready for that. Make sure that you write it down. And I thank those of you that are already getting people to come in and look at the show today that can certainly help them. We're just going to take a few seconds of this. Let me see. Okay, this is not what I wanted here. I'm going to go here. Good. Now, I'm sure you can see this. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just bringing this, you can go do the same thing that I just did. Just go on to your online. Now, here are some of the deaths. This are 12 leading causes of death in the United States. Now, I'm stating this just so that you will again get the idea. Some of you already know this, but those of us that don't, let's go over it again so we can remind ourselves, okay? Now, we look at heart disease. Heart disease still leads the deaths in the United States and around the world, because as the United States goes, so does the world goes. They're following us. They're looking at us. They're taking examples of what we're doing. Then we have cancer. We have accidents, chronic lower respiratory diseases. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, can be very difficult, because if you can't breathe and you're having problems getting air into your lungs and out, that in itself can be not only a problem, but super scary every time you breathe. Oh, that's hard. Then we have stroke, Alzheimer's disease. And when we talk about Alzheimer's, that's a certain type of dementia. There's different types of dementia. And these are diseases that are related to our brain. So we are going to dab a little bit into that as we go today too. Now, diabetes mellitus Number two. So diabetes type 2 is the diabetes that we'll be talking about today, and the diabetes that we don't want to get. We don't want to get any of these things. Okay, then we have influenza and pneumonia, which is another respiratory disease. People that cannot breathe, the inflammation of our lungs, so on. Then kidney disease. Now, dialysis is huge today. And when it comes to taking care of ourselves, just throwing anything in your body does not work. If you want to do something for yourself, a great service is get off of vaping cigarettes, the cigarette smoking with the nicotine, smoking, even the cannabis. If you're smoking, you cause immediately for your immune system to be suppressed. You cause for the restriction of, instead of dilating your vascular system, you restrict it. You make it smaller. Therefore, it has to work harder in order to get the blood through to the parts of your body to keep you living. Then we have suicide. Yes, suicide ideation is crazy today because you have so many people. I don't want to use crazy with this particular sentence, but you have many people that aren't balanced. They aren't balanced, and many people that don't even know that. There are 800 numbers that you can call to get help if you do have suicidal thoughts, and that means self-harm, doing something to hurt yourself. Get on that phone, and I'll give you the number before we got here, if I remember here. But in the meanwhile, look for that 800 number for the suicide number. Very important. Septicemia is another. Now, septicemia is something that most people don't think about, but it is the toxins in the blood that also can put the organs, our internal organs, in jeopardy. So there's a lot of things to talk about. Now, the liver diseases, and you will hear HEPA in front of those diseases, hepatitis, for instance, and the swelling of the hepatomegaly of the large liver, and that can come from non-alcoholic reactions, or it can come from alcoholic in its drinking too much alcohol. So that is something that we want to protect. Decreasing the heart rate is really, the death rates. To decrease these, one of the things that we have to do is we have to do the things that will allow us to be healthier, and they're usually the opposite of everybody else. All the other things that people are doing are the things that are leading them to illness. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to talk about some of the things. Now, there are things that are really like what people think are just what are called the norms. Well, the norms are breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if that is working right now, today, one of the things that we didn't talk about is that when it comes to the leading causes of death in the United States, we're over 500 million deaths. Over 500 million deaths in heart problems alone. So that means the heart attacks and the different infarctions like myocardial infarctions, which means sudden heart death. And then we have ischemia, silent ischemia, for instance. These are things that you should be asking your doctor about. So if you miss some of the words I say, some of the things I say, just come back to AAECF Inc., our channel on YouTube, and just review it. And once you review it again, you can write these things down. Some of the things that you should always have some idea about is your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your heart rate, or the pulse. You want to know also about the cholesterol levels. See, your A1C, this is another thing, your weight, your waistline. So these are things that will help you to maintain a healthy you. All right. So they're simple. Some of the things that you can simply buy, let me just, like these kinds of things, this is a thermometer. There's a few other things in here. There's thermometers like this too. And then there's also a glucometer. Glucometer is the apparatus that actually measures the amount of sugar in your blood. And then you have other ones, the ones that I just mentioned about your cholesterol, about your pulse rate. You can do that with your blood pressure cuff on. And you want to make sure that you have these numbers. Here are some of the numbers. You have, let's start off with A1C. You want to keep that down and get as close as you can to about a 4.7. That's your A1C number. Number 4, your blood pressure is a 120 over 80. 120 over 80. These are ideal numbers for you to aspire, or to actually get, not just to aspire to, but you want to achieve these things. And you can't do it through hoping and wishing. You got to do the work, roll those sleeves up and get out there and do the work, okay? Another thing is when it comes to sugar, which is blood glucose, and you'll hear other levulose, fructose, galactose, maltose, OSE, stands for sugar. That is in the sugar family. And we have different types of sugar. But when it comes to sugars, you should know how much you have is allowed in your system before there is damage. It's all about that balance. Stay balanced. Some people say, yeah, my doctor told me. I got to stop doing that. My daughter said, Dad, stop doing that. You make people think you're talking about them. You're making fun of them. And she's absolutely right. I don't know where I got it from, but I'll start, but people really take offense to that. I don't want to offend anyone. So thank you, sweetheart, for that. So now let me tell that story again. Now people need to have some idea of where your glucose is, right? The level. And if your glucose level is too high, you can do damage to your body. If your glucose level is too low, it can be detrimental to your body. So we need to have a balance, also known as homeostasis. So when we're taking these types of preventative measures, we do our body a great service. But if we neglect these things, you hear stories of people that you least expect that would have had any problem, yet they do. Why? Because when you negate yourself and you don't have a tab on what's going on, you don't know your healthy numbers, you increase the risk of disease, you increase the risk of illness, and you increase the risk of the causes of death. Okay, simple as that. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of this. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can take you back in, because I want to show you here. Okay. And here means to share. Now, I'm going to share this. And on here, what you'll see is the times to eat. And I'm going also not only the times to eat, but what to eat. I think I should be able to, not only on this, but I'm going to, well, let's go ahead and do that. So on here, what you see, you'll see these different, see the sun at the very top, and you'll see the big pyramid. Well, this is just analogous of how our body works. And our body works from the morning, a very low amount of energy, and it increases energy as it approaches the peak of our day, which is called the zenith. It is very important. I won't throw a lot of words at you. I'm going to keep this very simple. So the peak or the middle of your day is called the zenith. Now from the zenith, look what happens to the sun. It goes down, right? It starts to set. Now, let's go back over here. We have the detox and energize. Now, detox, I'm using that word very loosely because a detox is been pretty much coined now, usually just reserved for those that are cleaning up their act from addictions like alcohol addiction and drug addiction. But now we're cleaning up our acts from the food that we eat. People call that detox. Most detoxes are connected directly to laxatives. Laxatives means that it forces your stool out. It forces evacuation or defecation. So let's look down here under the first meal. What do you eat during the first meal? Let's look at first, now let's go up to the catabolic schedule. Let's go all the way down. See the AM, it says 6 a.m. So you're in the AM column over to your left up here, and it says 6 a.m. Now, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., this is 12 hours. If you wake up at 6 p.m. and go to your cutoff time is here at 6 a.m. So you get it. So any time of day that you get up from all the way from the 1 to 12 o'clock, this chart will remind you how to count. So let's go up to the top. If you get up at 1 a.m., then your cutoff time for eating will be at 1 p.m. If you get up at 1 p.m., your cutoff time will be 1 a.m. This is acknowledging what is called the human circadian rhythm, the human circadian rhythm, not circadian. The human, you don't have to put a real, it's not real hard on circadian rhythm, circadian rhythm, okay? And that just simply just means another day. So we take another day, by the way, is 24 hours. Circadian, the circadian rhythm is in every living thing. All of the fishes of the sea, the birds, all of the cattle, sheep, horses, cows, wild animals in our forests and jungles. So yes, I want you to study that so that you'll get the idea and have it in your mind where you can call upon it when you need it. The first hour is just water, fruit, and I mean raw fruit. Now, some people, as you see here, you'll see a blender. Now, this blender is just to remind you that, yes, if you're in a rush, you can throw things in there like your frozen fruit, and you can make yourself a smoothie, but get the fruit in your body. I prefer to chew it, because mastication or using a chewing also helps the body's homeostasis. Yes, you're going to hear that a lot. Okay, I'm just going to move through these rapidly because you can also look this up you can search it, or you just search for Dr. Farid Zarif, and these things will come up and guide you to the chart. But this is a chart that you can just simply follow. It's just very, very easy. These are also, they're also available on our, you can go to Zarif, you can go to executivelifediet.com. executivelifediet.com, and you can just simply load this. This is your 3-hour period will be what time? So from 1 o'clock until, I'm sorry, let's start at 6 a.m. So about 8 a.m. will be your 3 o'clock, your third hour, the bridge meal. And this is where you eat fruit and protein. So those of you that are still believing that you can only get protein from animals, that is not correct. Yeah, you can get protein from a lot of other sources, such as nuts, such as beans. Did you know that black-eyed peas has some of the highest numbers when it comes to the source for protein from a plant food? Yes, that is black-eyed peas. Whoa. The only thing that we do with black-eyed peas, many of us, is we put meat in the black-eyed peas. So let's take the meat out of the black-eyed peas, like the pork back or whatever you are used to using. Take that out and replace it with olive oil, replace it with coconut oil, and you'll get that oil that actually, it makes food taste better. That's why people use fat. Okay, let's go to the 5th hour, and then you will have the same thing. Now you can have non-dairy products that are also have a great deal of protein in it, or you can mix drinks that add chia. Chia is a great source of, chia seeds, a great source of protein. And then you have the hulled, Hulled, like a hull is the outside of, let's say, pumpkin seed. When you see the word hulled, it means that they have been, the hull or the outside has been taken off. Okay, so while I'm talking about sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, these are great sources of protein. So keep that in mind. And yes, there are other non-dairy sources, such as yogurt. There's non-dairy yogurt. Yes, there is. There's also other alternative foods that you can eat that also have a plentiful source of the protein. I know you've been taught, I have too. I'm no different than you. You know, what you gonna eat, you can't get no protein from oh, I'm sorry. I did it again. You know, I have to catch myself because I'm just so used to doing that. And it is kind of yucky when you think about it, because I don't really mean to make fun of people. I don't. So anyway, let me do that again. So when we eat too much of something, it can take us out of balance. And if we're not eating the right foods at the right time, that can take us out of balance too. For instance, let's go back to these 4 hours. Well, we were about to go to the 7th hour, which is the largest meal. So if we go to just fruit only, and then fruit and protein, the 3rd hour, the 5th hour meal is fruit and protein, and then we go to the largest meal. Now I can go in depth in all of these, but I'm just doing this because this time goes by really fast, and I got a lot to give to you before you go. All right, so the largest meal here is a combination of protein-dominant foods, carbohydrate-dominant foods, and those foods that help you to digest those foods, like vegetables. But after this 7th hour meal, actually after the 5th hour meal, we discontinue eating fruit. Fruit is for the main purpose of neutralizing toxins, also to add fiber so that you have a regular bowel movement, and is very important to protect you against some of the things like septicemia is one of them that we talked about earlier. But that fiber, ooh, oh no, how about the sugar? Did I forget the sugar? Yes, I did forget the sugar, but I did it on purpose. You know why? Because when it comes to sugar, most people think of sugar as being, just delicious and has no consequence. So that means that everything else that we're eating, there's no consequence. Every action, there's the opposite of greater reaction, right? There's something else that's happening because we did this. If I do like that, it's something I can feel it over here. So everything that we do, there's some it is the beginning of the cause of something else. So the eating this meal in the morning is super important for those of you that don't eat fresh fruit in the morning. It's super important. And some people say, I'm not a breakfast person. So if a person is saying that they're not a breakfast person, excuse me, the truth of it is that we are all breakfast people, actually. You actually teach yourself, you have to train yourself not to eat that. Do people go through the whole day without eating breakfast? Yes, there are many people that do that. But here's the thing. When you start your morning off, you start something, which is that meal, to regulate your bowel movement. Bowel movement is a super important part of being healthier. And all of us should have a bowel movement, at least one per day. Those of us that's having 2, 3, 4 bowel movements, it's because of what you're eating, and it's also because of the frequency of your the metabolic process that occurs in your body. So we do have different labs from person to person, but in general, it all happens pretty much the same way. So we go over to the 10th hour, and the 10th hour here is a bridge meal, and I call these bridge meals because they connect the large meals. So we wait 3 hours. So if we have 6 a.m. over here, we start right here. You see the pointer, the arrow here, you have 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m. Large meal is at 12 p.m. 3 hours after that is 3 p.m. And then we eat the smallest meal, and the smallest meal here is between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. is your cutoff time. Now that alone will help you to lose weight or to balance your weight out. It will help you to have more energy. It will help regulate your stool or bowel movement. This is a wonderful, wonderful plan. If you follow it, you will see it immediately. It will start working for you. It will start working for you. Now, maybe immediate is a little too strong, but you will get a very rapid reaction, very rapid response from that, okay? So you will see down here also, you will see, did you hear that lollipop? That's what happens when you're talking a lot and you got to stop and take a little drink. So I'm going to do that in a second. Let's look at the middle of the pyramid here. You notice it starts off real light from your left. It goes to a high point of the sun, and then the sun starts going down and it starts getting dark. All of that has purpose, but we're not going to go into the suprachiasmatic nucleus today. There's a lot of other things that we're doing a very basic understanding of why we eat, or why we should eat the way we eat, what we eat, when we eat, and how much of it. And these little places that you're eating, they're very small meals, very small meals. The largest meal is that meal in the middle of your day that we call lunch. You should have a nice amount of food that is adequate for the rest of the energy for the rest of your day. If you go long periods of time, you might find yourself going in and out of energy, in and out of energy. And when you do that, going in and out of energy, you'll find yourself not feeling so good. Sometimes you have symptoms such as vertigo, or an imbalance, feeling like you're dizzy, or you'll have a headache that comes up from nowhere. Many times, because you haven't eaten frequently enough, you have low sugar, and that I call it a hunger headache. Once you get those, they're very, very difficult to get over, even when you start eating, because I've done that before and it is bad. We're going to pause right now just so that we can give you more information about how to stay in contact with us at AAECF Inc. And that is our YouTube channel is AAECF, and our website is aaecfinc.org. Okay. Boy, that's a mouthful, and I'm glad that I got it down because we're talking about some fantastic people that really and truly care about the children, care about the parents of those children, care about our communities and our leadership, and care about the way that we think about ourselves. aaecfinc.org. Find out more about it, get involved, find out, read about, and let's celebrate the wonder of unity, coming together as a beautiful family of melanated people. And this is so important. Now, we are particularly interested in you, how we can help you. So these particular programs are for you, and please get all that you can from them. We want to thank everybody for making this possible as we go on to the second part. I'm going to stop for a little sip right now, and I'll be right here, but I'll be back. Okay. Now, let's move on. We're doing good. We want to move on to the next thing. I want to show you, let me share a screen. And here. Now, here's another chart here. As you see, this chart, you'll see, look at all the way through the chart. Practically everything is a mixture of meat. Now, this isn't the best way to go. Even if you are eating meat, not to eat meat every meal, every meal time, and large amounts of it. Now, the breakfast you'll see a hot dog here. People actually eat hot dogs for their breakfast. They want something fast. They'll throw it in a bun and off they go. You have turkey. Turkey is another meat. It is in the fowl category, but turkey, like turkey sausage, for instance. And then you have toast. Now, many people actually, they love toast. I love toast. It's good in the morning, sometimes, and usually in the morning. We'll get to that in a minute. But these are the things, right? Then you have cereal at lunchtime. What? Well, you have cereal at lunchtime. Some people eat so late that they're eating cereal during lunchtime. Next, we have sandwiches. We have a hamburger here. And in eating that, you also have ham, slices of ham, pastrami, liverwurst. I don't know. You have hog head cheese, all of those things. I might say one of the types of meat incorrectly, or two, because I have disconnected myself with food, with the eating of meat so long that, you know, I used to plump, because when I was a child, I would eat that because that's all I knew. That's all my mother knew. And that's what we ate. Probably same story with you, right? So if you're lucky enough to escape this, you have here for dinner, you have salad. Now, people do eat this. They eat pancakes for dinner. Yeah. And then pizza. And this, the reason I didn't want to put, like, you know, the regular meals here, because guess what? People just don't eat the regular meals anymore. It's very unique to sit at the table with people today and enjoy a wonderful meal. It's just very rare. If you are so fortunate to sit down at the table and to enjoy the company of your family and friends, lucky you. I mean, really fortunate you. So congratulations for that. So now I'm going to see if I can get back to, I don't want to get the glycemic yet. Let me see here. Now here you will see many of the I have a lot of stuff here, and I can point to it. What we want to point to is, again, the importance of eating food correctly. And we just talked about how much, when we eat it, and we're talking about what time do we eat it. Now, over here, you'll see where the pointer is. Next, this March, we have the colorectal cancer. This is a awareness, colorectal cancer awareness month. So there should be a lot of programs for colorectal. And I may be able to squeeze in a presentation about colorectal cancer. Now, colorectal, you notice, is the colo comes from the word colon, and recto comes from rectum. So colorectal is the cancer of the colon and the rectum. That's not a good look. Yeah, that's something that we want to avoid altogether. Now, I want to go in here, I left it like this so I can kind of shoot around, and I would have put it in the PPTX, but this is a PowerPoint, but this is really incredible. Now, I just want to show you a few things here. Let's start with, I am going to go with this, okay? Because these are the different parts. Now, let me see if we can zoom in here. Okay, there we go. And we're going to zoom in. Voila. Okay, I think that's about as close as we can get here. Now, here you start off, our digestive system starts with the oral cavity. Look at all these parts to your human body, to our human body. This is really incredible. And perhaps this will give you more purpose to take care of yourself. So we start off, the oral cavity, by the way, is the mouth, of course. That is all of this back here, the throat, the mouth, the roof of the mouth, the teeth, all of that. And then we have the maxillary glands, and also the sublingual glands. And you see that is right under your tongue. And then we have the parotid gland. The parotid gland is up near the ear. And then we have the pharynx. The pharynx is actually the throat. Next, what is this? The esophagus. The esophagus comes as connected to the pharynx, the throat, and the pharynx connects the esophagus, which is another word for food tube. And the food tube, now, when you're chewing, you're eating this food, it's important that the reason our parents tell us don't talk while you're eating isn't just because they think that you're being rude, or they want you to chew, for instance, thoroughly, but you can actually choke yourself, because while you're eating, the food can be lodged into your trachea, which is your windpipe, causing you to cough, choke, and it can cause it. You've seen people do that, and they have to have the Heimlich, and that is pressing on the xiphoid process, the sternum right here, pushing it in, and we'll go into that later, but they have it on YouTube. You can check it out. Let's go ahead and finish. The other things that we need to guard against and keep healthy are the liver. You see that? The liver, see how large that organ is? That's one of the largest in the body. The largest on the outside is what? I'll come back to you later and see if you know it. Okay, gallbladder. The gallbladder is right beneath the liver. And then we have the pancreas. The pancreas is where your insulin comes from, and that's what helps us to manage our levels of sugar. Then we have the, before I go into the large intestine, actually, on this particular, on this particular, here we go, gallbladder. Then you go into the duodenum. The duodenum is the small intestine. And the small intestine, this is where you get most of your digestion done. The duodenum, the first part of the digestive system. This is some really breaking down of food. And then from the duodenum, we have the jejunum. Okay, right here, you have the jejunum. The jejunum is right in here. You see all of this twisted tube in here. So you have duodenum, the jejunum, and from the jejunum, it goes down here, the small intestine, which is the ileum. The ileum then is connected to the cecum, and the cecum is right here just before we get into the large intestine. This intestine that is going up on the left side, is actually, that's his right, my left. So on the right side of your body, you have what is called the ascending colon. This is the large intestine. All of this is called the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. And that's what we're looking at. This tract is approximately 32.5 feet long. So it is all set in our bodies, 32.5 feet long. Think about a basketball court, and you know how high that basketball the hoop is. And now pile two more hoops on top of that hoop, and that is 30 feet tall. And then you have a little bit more, because 35.2. So you have a little more. Okay, so you have from there, you have again, you have the cecum from the cecum, and you have sphincters here too. We're keeping this very, very simple, everybody, keeping it very simple. Excuse me. Because I'm doing that little popping thing I used to do when I was a little boy. Okay, so the large intestine, we go to the, again, ascending. When the intestine goes over from the right to the left, it is going to the descending, and that this from right to left is called the transverse colon. And from the transverse colon, it goes downward, and that is called the descending colon. From the descending colon, whoa, what do we have here? We have the rectum. And the rectum is one of the things that they did in here. See this right here? This is called the right here. Yeah. This is the appendix. So the appendix is a part of the digestive system also. So the ascending, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and then we have the rectum. Now the rectum here is also called the sigmoid. So the rectum and the sigmoid this is located right here where it actually holds the waste. If we didn't have this part of our colon, is a good chance that we would not be able to control our waste, as there will be nowhere for the waste to rest. So this is just like the green room. It's like before you go on stage, you're in the green room. So here you have that area, which is called the rectum. And then the anus is actually the name of the sphincter that opens and closes. It's the muscle that helps to manage the evacuation of the defecation. So in other words, when you're having a bowel movement, this muscle can stop it, or you can relax it and let it continue. So there you have it. Okay, so we'll stop share right there. Wow, that went really fast. Okay, those are some of the things that we want to, let me see if you have any questions yet, any comments. I'm looking over here at the chat, nothing yet. But that means that you're paying attention and you're getting something from this, and that's all we can ask. Okay, let me go right back on here. I want to show you some of the things that I'm sorry about that. It's like I'm not even doing that on purpose, but it is happening. So if that is, let me get a little bit more in here. We have to hydrate. You notice most shows actually have the little cup with the tea. I think I'll get that later on, and we'll do that. Okay, so we start off with the cholecalciferol. The cholecalciferol. that, or the calciferol, the cholecalciferol is vitamin D. We're going to go into this stuff later. Let me make that bigger so you can see it. So the vitamin D, retinol is the vitamin A. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of this, but I want you to remember more than just the ascorbic acid, which most people remember, which is vitamin C. But you have the vitamin D, and you get this from these plants. You see that? All these green plants. And this is really, sorry about that, man. I'm having so much fun. Okay, so you have the retinol, you have the cholecalciferol. Over here, vitamin D, that is the name. And later on, we're going to 125, the dihydroxy, the calciferol, that is the name of the vitamin D. It's a hormone, actually. We'll go into that later. And vitamin A actually takes the carotene, this different colors in this fruit, and it makes vitamin A. So the carotenes or carotenoids actually make vitamin A, which our body uses, and it is a fat-soluble vitamin, just like vitamin D. A, D, and K are fat solubles. That means that it stays around in your body and your muscle and in your liver. So this is very different than the other ones, such as the vitamin C and all of the B vitamins. You have also vitamin P, which is riboflavin. It's actually in the B family, but you don't need to remember all this. Man, oh, wow, this is really, really something. Okay, so we go into the acidum lipoicum. Okay, so this the acidum lipoicum is or PP is another vitamin that you probably never even heard of, and you get that from artichokes, and you get it from pears and kiwi, bananas, coconut. This is very great. Papaya, yeah. It's really important, and you got all kinds of digestive enzymes in those fruit and vegetables. Technically, a fruit are those edible plants that have seeds. Okay, we'll go into that later. So much, you see, I'm excited about nutritional science because it's such a beautiful field. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit here so we can keep you on schedule. Now, next is vitamin N. Vitamin N, phylloquinone. This is very important. We'll go into that later, but the oils, the different types of oils that have phylloquinone in them, this is really a wonderful group, and you can get all these in your produce section. You notice all of these, no animals right here, none, not one, because you can get your vegetables, you can get your vitamins and your minerals, you can also get your EFAs, which are called essential fatty acids. You heard of that before, right? Linolenic, oleic, linolenic acids, omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. Woohoo! That's a lot of stuff. And they're made with the different types of amino acids. You have methionine, threonine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, isoleucine, lysine. Woo! It have so many, in 8 to 9. It changes from some books to another, but about 9 essential amino acids, meaning that these acids are not made by the body. So things like lysine and leucine and isoleucine and so forth, right? Okay, let's go back here to still looking at this chart, vitamin B1, and that is the thiamine or thiamine. You hear people say thiamine also. And then you have folates, and you will also hear folacin or folic acid. We can go into that later too. Told you it's a lot. Okay, and then you have your vitamin U. I'm going to speed up. Vitamin C, E, B5, Vitamin P, yeah, flavonoids. And then you have riboflavin. And some people actually say riboflavin. You will hear duodenum and you will hear duodenum. You know, you'll hear umbicus and umbicus. You know, so people have different pronunciations. It's Latin, and as long as you know what it is, don't worry about it. Cyanocobalamin is vitamin B12, and then you have pyridoxine, vitamin B6. Look at all these B vitamins, and biotin. So I'll be going over all of these. Stick with me this entire year because you're going to go through a class now that you can learn so much from. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so let's go ahead and stop share there and bring you back to why we have to change the narrative. We have to change the narrative, everyone, because the old way of thinking, the old way of believing even does not work. As simple as that. If it were something that was working, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it doesn't work. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner does not work in the form that it is now. The form that it is now is all connected to employers. They want to make sure that their employees are eating enough to last until lunchtime, and that lunchtime lasts long enough for them to get home to get the big piece of chicken. Well, if we want to change that, the best thing to do is not to continue the narratives that are very, very negative and very detrimental to ourselves, because we need to know the truth. We need to have the evidence. We need to have the science. And as long as we have the evidence and we have those references and we're getting our information from the best minds possible on the earth, I'm good with that. You see? And you should be too, because that's the best we can do until we discover something even more intriguing, even more important to our human health. There's so much that we can go into, but again, I want you to know that when we change, as we change the narratives of health, nutrition, and wellness, we will have changed the entire world, because we have to start with ourselves. Then we go to our loved ones. And from our loved ones, we go to our friends, and they sometimes may be in that same category. But make sure that you change what has been told to you. Most of the things that you do are because somebody else told you to do it. You have no other explanation of why you do it, right? So we're going to change that, change the narratives. Follow me on Instagram _executive life diet _. Okay, make sure you follow me. Make sure you follow us here on the station. Make sure you go and get that free information. Well, we'll definitely have plenty of that for you. I want to do a very unapologetically, it's fine. I think I want to let everybody know I have a wonderful book out. It is called Slaves of the Tongue, and it is available right now on executivelifediet.com. It's called Slaves of the Tongue. What I'm talking about and much more is in that book. Please get the book, order yours today, and save a life. I'm Dr. Farid Zarif, and upon leaving, let me thank everybody that put their time in making sure that this show is on the air, that have taken time to make sure that we're getting the right vocal levels, the audio, the visual, the backup that I'm getting. Thank you very much, especially to my wonderful producer. He's not feeling great today, but I just want to say thank you so much, Sam. You are wonderful, and I really appreciate your time and your brilliance. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody else, the president, and all of our associates, the people that work together with us. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It has been a grand time. Thank you for seeing parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's been great. You love what you see. Make sure that you leave comments so we can keep doing it. Have a beautiful, beautiful life for the rest of your life. And I'll see you in there, and I'll become a great asset for you, because life is everything, and everything that is happening to you is happening for you.